insurance runs the world, because if you look at it through medical viewpoints, you can't get anything done unless the insurance says to do it. And if the insurance says it's not worth it or don't do it, the doctor has to stop. And if you don't have like an x-ray done, they won't let you do an MRI, even though you need the MRI, not the x-ray. So it's sort of like that thing.
I would say I think COVID might have been kind of like fake, meaning however it happened and like started. It's definitely, there was an agenda behind it. I think the vaccine for COVID there was an agenda behind it. Whatever that agenda was, it just all felt like it was just a money-making scheme. Didn't feel real. So yeah, that's probably the only conspiracy theory I actually believe.
Ice wall around our continents. It's been watching it a lot recently. I genuinely think that we are being restricted to a certain area, but I don't believe that we live, because the ice walls tend to be known as like a flat earther view of the world, but I don't think we're on a flat planet, because obviously it wouldn't make sense. But I do believe that there's like something keeping us in like a certain area without being able to contaminate the other areas. There's like a theory saying that there's people behind that ice wall that are more advanced in technology, or less than us. They know us as the contaminated because of how much things go on here, and I find that really interesting, as well as like the Leviathan gate and all that. There's so much to it, but there's like 4 gates to get past the ice wall, but they all are guarded by like the Leviathan, the Lion's Gate, and they all have certain names, and I find that really cool.
Yeah, JFK, like being like shot by some. Rewind to like any of them. I don't think any of them were as simple as they appeared, or as any presidential assassination. I mean, that'd be a pretty gnarly grudge to hold against somebody to be like, yeah, I'm gonna murder you in front of everybody. Yeah, poor guy. And then his brother, dang. That ain't just a family, like, ugh. So, good luck, Robert.
I guess like Jesus died and rose from the dead.
I just was watching a Francis Chan video the other day, and I have deep respect for Francis Chan and think he's like very mainstream and like very on point with everything that he says. And Francis Chan the other day on Instagram basically like red-pilled everybody about this ancient Hebrew prophecy. There are 3 sections of human history that last about 2,000 years each. So from Adam to Abraham, the genealogy, if you add it all up, is about 2,000 years. From Abraham to Jesus, about 2,000 years. And from Jesus to now-ish is about 2,000 years. And the prophecy is that Jesus will come back after this messianic age of 2,000 years. He will reign for 1,000 years, and that is the 7 days of creation that humans get on this earth. The first 6 days of creation, then the 1 day of rest, the messianic era, and then time is over. And that's where the Christian belief that the world is 6,000 years old comes from. And that's not a very well-known prophecy, but it's a very ancient prophecy. And I did not expect Francis Chan to be on this, like, we're in the end times, it's about to be over wavelength, but apparently he is. So I think that there is like some appeal to this prophecy, just for many reasons, but apparently Francis Chan does too. So I think there may be some credence to it, and that's my favorite. Like, I guess it's kind of a conspiracy that like maybe we're near the end times, and yeah, that's probably the one I'm most hot on right now.
I mean, I don't mean to be lame, and someone probably already said this, but aliens, but like, not just like, okay, aliens on Area 51, whatever. Maybe we have like, the government has like, if they have come to Earth. And I feel like aliens, the word in and of itself is kind of like something you like deconstruct all on its own, because it's like, what is an alien? And also, aren't we kind of aliens? But whatever. But the idea of aliens that live like deep down in the ocean, just as much as they can be like out in the sky or whatever, like walking around the earth, that they can also like live down in the ocean. I've heard some conspiracy theories about that, and because the ocean, like, we know more about space than we know about the depths of the ocean, and so that's one that like fascinates me, I think, probably the most.
I don't think that I'm not very sure that we've landed on the moon. We were in a race with the Soviet Union and just so happened to get there first. And Red Hot Chili Peppers have a song talking about how it's all filmed in a Hollywood basement. That's probably one I think.
All the things I'd watched cartoons growing up is just the whole like Area 51 stuff. Like Scooby-Doo was always talking about Area 51 and like breaking in and like all these secret alien objects and like, oh, gotta break them out and like be free. So Area 51's definitely got some shady stuff going on. Hey, I've never seen it, so does it actually exist? Who knows, you know? So maybe that.
I had a good conversation about this today, actually. This is not a conspiracy theory, actually, it's the truth. So America has the elected officials and, you know, with the help of lobbyists and big corporations, have set up this nice big system where the typical American, they're raised, they are led down this path created by said officials, you know, leaders in the world. They get indoctrinated into this education system that teaches them to be little worker ants, and as they get raised up, they're going through that system, and whenever they're out of that system, they are, you know, put into the college system to further that along, and, you know, eventually they get out, they, you know, get their job. But they're bred to be worker ants to make them money, and then the same companies, same corporations also own the food infrastructure, major food companies. You know, they make them live such a fast-paced life that they needed quick, easy food like that, so they own the fast food companies that give them the unhealthy ingredients, the chemicals, the toxins that make them sick and lead them to go pay them, because they're, you know, also of course own the pharmaceutical industry, and, you know, have them go into the medical system. The medical system puts them through the ringer, you know, makes them even more money, throw them to the pharmaceutical system. That just creates this cycle of just endlessly giving these men, women, whoever at the top, this we're just feeding them off of our energy and work, health, you know, social media influences. This is like that's my nice big conspiracy theory, that America is now just this big rat race towards a quick and speedy, unhealthy death.
Just the fact that we don't realize in our day-to-day how much is being controlled and watched, especially as time grows with more media and more electronics, and where we just give more and more access. And I mean, some people are aware of it, and then some people aren't very aware. They can just track a lot and figure out a lot, especially with, I mean, AI and everything coming out. So it's not a conspiracy theory, really. It's just things are getting more and more controlled and watched. It's scary.
I think it's a reality that all the systems that we currently live in and under are broken, and they were all designed for a generation long ago, and so they aren't currently working. And we see the breakdown in the education system, we see the breakdown in the healthcare system, we see the breakdown in the justice system, we see the breakdown in the medical system. Like, all of the systems that we function under they're all broken. I don't think it's a conspiracy, I think it's reality.
One of the conspiracy theories that I actually believe is, I think cancer companies or drug manufacturers or whatever have been trying to suppress alternatives and whatever to curing cancer. So when I first heard about this years ago, I don't naturally lean into conspiracy theories. I'll listen to them. I'll kind of be like, yeah, that's a good point for a couple of days, because I like being sold. And then I'm like, nah, that's a dumb idea. We probably really did land on the moon. You know, George Bush probably didn't orchestrate 9/11, whatever. I get over it. The Earth's probably not flat, whatever it is. So when I first heard about that cancer companies were holding back cancer research, I was like, nah, it can't be true. Well, one of my brothers years ago hung out with a cancer researcher, I believe in Miami, and they would meet a couple times a year for lunch, whatever. And all of a sudden he started showing up with a bodyguard. And my brother was like, what's up with the bodyguard? And he's like, well, just in the last few months, literally just here in Miami, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5, I don't know, it was a large number of other cancer researchers who were all kind of at the cutting edge of like coming up with solutions, all of a sudden jumped off of buildings. And so this guy got worried. He didn't want to jump off a building and commit suicide. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then the next thing was I had another friend who had a little machine that is like a body scan machine. You just put your hand on it, kind of scans your body. And in the original iteration, when she was testing it on her husband, it actually said that there was a precancerous area on his shoulder or back or something like that. And so he goes in to the doctor and he says, hey, I think I got a precancer or something. Was able to tell him kind of right where it was. They check it out. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. It's precancerous. That's amazing. How'd you find out? And, you know, he's like, oh yeah, my wife's got this little machine. You put your hand on and it scans your body and whatever. And so anyways, not long later, she's on like a trip or something and her husband gets a call. And the call is, hey, from the FDA, and the FDA is checking to make sure she's run the update on her machine to get rid of the cancer detection mode, and or software or whatever. And so she's like, yeah, I'll deal with it when I get back home. And anyway, she gets back home, and an actual agent or a person from the FDA comes and knocks on her door and makes her like verify that her machine no longer will scan for cancer. So I was like, okay, that's strike 2. And then years ago, I was doing Uber, and a young lady got in my car who did heart research, like for heart attacks, heart disease, whatever. And I asked her just for randomly, I was like, why don't you do cancer research? And she said, actually, I used to, and I think it was at Emory. I'm almost positive it was at Emory. But she said, yeah. She said, the reason I got out of it was because like a year or 2 ago, I was in it. I was doing cancer research. And the cancer research department had this like I guess was considered the number 2 cancer researcher in the world actually worked there. And this professor came up with this cure for cancer, I guess, or something like that. It was pretty wild, or maybe a certain type of cancer, whatever it was. Said he like told everybody about it. They held a press conference, and all these students, and everybody's freaking out. Like, oh my God, this is so amazing. How cool. What an amazing breakthrough. A few weeks later, she sees him like in a hallway or something, and she's like, hey, Mr. Professor, like how cool is it? Like, you know, this cancer breakthrough you found. And he looks at her and he goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she's like, what? Like, you held a press conference, we were all there, like, this is really amazing. And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So she goes and asks a bunch of her friends who were there and other students that were there, and she's like, wait, am I losing my mind? Like, and then they were trying to look it up and they couldn't find the article anymore. So she sees him again and she's like, what's going on? And he gets really like freaked out, and he basically says, hey, listen, please don't ever ask me about this again. Like, my life and my family's life are threatened because of this. And that was my 3rd strike, and I was like, wow, okay. Apparently, this one's not a conspiracy theory.
The one that has not, to me, been disproven is that the COVID virus was purposefully manufactured as a weapon, as a tool. Weapon's a strong word, but as a tool to manipulate. And I still believe that, and I still believe that it was manufactured in the Wuhan lab, and I firmly believe that Fauci and the CDC and all of them knew what was going on because we were funding it. I mean, at least that part's been proven, that we were sending money. So yeah, I still believe that one.